All right, let's jump right in. Starting a business and keeping it alive in a super competitive market is, well, it's incredibly tough. I mean, it usually takes a year just to figure out if a small neighborhood food stall is going to survive, let alone a massive nationwide brand. But today, we're going to dive into this explainer and deconstruct a brand called Minimalist. Founded by two brothers from Jobber, Mohit and Rahul Yadav, this is an absolute masterclass in how to architect rapid growth. And when I say rapid, the sheer speed of their scale is just staggering. We're talking about how Mohit scaled 100 crore in revenue. Now, if you know the startup world, hitting that nine-figure revenue mark is a monumental milestone. It's something most founders literally chase for a decade. It usually takes perfect product market fit, flawless logistics, and, a mountain of venture capital. So figuring out exactly how Mohit scaled to 100 crore is just a masterclass in execution. Because here is the kicker. 8 months. Just 8 months. That's the jaw-dropping time frame it took them to hit that 100 crore revenue mark from the exact moment they launched the brand. I mean, think about that for a second. In less time than it takes to build a standard house, they built an absolute empire. It's almost unheard of. And it immediately begs the question, right? Did they just stumble onto some magic formula? Or was this highly calculated precision? Well, spoiler alert, this rapid scaling eventually led to a massive strategic buyout. The founders secured an unbelievable 1,700 crore payout just for their personal shares, after the whole company was valued at around 3,000 crore. But to really grasp how they landed this massive payday, we have to rewind a bit. We need to look at the sweat, the early failures, and the exact strategy they used to scale so unbelievably fast. Because, look, this definitely was an overnight look. It is so easy to look at an 8-month success story and completely ignore the grind behind it. Mohit actually spent 15 long years in the trenches. Back in 2008, he avoided a corporate transfer to London just to stay close to his family, quit his job, and started a pretty mediocre t-shirt business. That pivoted into Manga Street, which they sold in 2012. Then they spent time working at Car Deco, and in 2018, they launched a haircare startup called Freewell, which, well, it failed due to internal struggles. So 15 years and 3 different businesses without finding that runaway success. But they never gave up. They kept hunting for the perfect framework. All right, moving into section 1, the core strategy, business model cloning. So what is this exactly? It's pretty straightforward. You identify a wildly successful concept that is crushing it in another country, and you execute it flawlessly in your own local market. We've seen this playbook before, and it's incredibly effective when done right. Think about how Flipkart essentially copied Amazon's model for India, or how Ola cloned Uber, or Oyo with Airbnb. The real genius here isn't necessarily inventing a brand new wheel. It's looking around, realizing a perfectly good wheel exists somewhere else, and seeing that your local market is absolutely desperate for a ride. For Mohit and Rahul, that inspiration, the brand they decided to clone, was a massively popular Canadian direct-to-consumer skincare company called The Ordinary. While they were hunting for their next big venture, they noticed this brand exploding in Western countries, and they realized something huge. Absolutely nobody was executing this specific model in the Indian market yet. So why was this model such a game changer? Well, think about traditional skincare in India at the time. It was mostly these generic, one-size-fits-all creams, right? Products promising to fix literally everything for everyone while secretly hoping you'd never read the fine print on the back label where all the harsh chemicals were hiding next to exaggerated marketing claims. The Canadian model flipped this entirely. It won by actually proving its science. It offered custom solutions for very specific skin types, and here was the crazy part. It boldly printed the exact chemical ingredients on the front of the bottle in huge text. It was a total shift from false promises to radical transparency. Essentially, they started treating the consumer like an adult. Okay, let's get into section 2, the launch and execution playbook. Now, you might think starting a disruptive skincare brand means you have to pour crores into massive manufacturing plants on day one. Nope, they didn't do that at all. Instead of mass production, they just meticulously researched scientific ingredients and created a single face serum. They produced a tiny batch of just 1,000 bottles to test the waters. Then, they promoted it to a really small but dedicated Instagram audience of only 300 followers. And because their transparent messaging was so fresh and unique, those 1,000 bottles completely sold out in just 48 hours. The massive takeaway here, you absolutely do not need a giant factory to test a great idea. The real secret sauce here was how they educated their buyers. At the time, tons of brands were making a fortune off the fear of chemicals by just slapping 100% organic or natural on literally everything. Minimalist came in and boldly busted those myths. They taught consumers that organic doesn't automatically equal safe, and that very specific, scientifically proven chemicals can actually be vastly superior for your skin. By literally printing exactly what was in the bottle on the front label, they respected the consumer's intelligence. And that radical honesty, it built an unshakable foundation of trust. And this brilliant, trust-first strategy really answers the core question of how Mohit scaled 100 crore in just 8 months. Get this, their marketing spend was 0 rupees. 0. By reinvesting their marketing budget entirely into the actual product quality, instead of paying celebrities or influencers for fake endorsements, they let genuine customer reviews and word of mouth do all the heavy lifting. When people find a product that genuinely works and they understand the science behind it, they talk about it. They tell everyone. Influencers and everyday users just started reviewing minimalist products for free because they genuinely loved them. This organic, 0 rupee marketing loop was the absolute engine driving their historic run. Which brings us to Section 3, the climax, the strategic exit. So, after 3 years of this incredible, highly profitable expansion, a pretty massive storm appeared on the horizon. In 2022, the exact company they had cloned, the global giant The Ordinary, officially entered the Indian market. Suddenly, the very brand that inspired their entire playbook was their direct, on-the-ground competitor. And The Ordinary is a global powerhouse with incredibly deep pockets. Trying to go toe-to-toe with them strictly as an independent online-first brand, that would be intensely difficult and incredibly risky. But Mohit and Rahul were ahead of the curve. Recognizing they urgently needed massive offline distribution to survive this new global threat, they made a strategic move. They sold minimalist Hindustan Unilever at a staggering 3,000 crore valuation. Why HUL? Well, Hindustan Unilever has one of the absolute largest offline retail networks in the entire country. By joining forces, Minimalist completely leveled up. It wasn't just an online brand anymore, it could instantly be placed on physical retail shelves across all of India, successfully defending its turf against foreign competitors while massively expanding its reach. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought. Mohit and Rahul Yadav spent 15 grueling years searching for the perfect formula. Once they found it, they executed a flawless cloning strategy, educated their buyers, and scaled to 100 crore in just 8 months through incredible product quality. But was their true brilliance the cloning strategy they used to launch the brand? Or was it their incredible foresight to exit to an offline giant at the exact right moment to protect what they built? It's just a fascinating case study in both market entry and market exit. Let that question sink in as you think about your own strategies. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.